Hello. Sunday Stroll with Mary T. I'll start out here just about a mile into my favorite stroll on a Sunday. It's the Arthur R. Marshall National Wildlife Refuge in Loxahatchee, Palm Beach. We have a female anhinga, also known as a snakebird because of her long neck. They have to stand with their wings open so that they can be dried. Perhaps you can also hear, along with the other birds in that tree, a red-shouldered hawk. The crows were very, very loud, so I'm walking along what we know as a canal, otherwise known as a borrow pit, to fill in the path on which I am walking. Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge is massive. It is created to not only give a refuge to all sorts of animals, birds, butterflies, dragonflies, but to also help filter the water from the agricultural establishments north and east of here. We are on the edge of the Everglades and on the edge of the agricultural concerns that are in the neighborhood. And of course the plan is to filter the water so that it may be returned to the Everglades, which is out there where those beautiful clouds are. I know Lucy shared with us what she could do with her grief, and yes, grief sometimes lays dormant. We have another hawk. Lays dormant and then appears, perhaps without our knowing it's going to come up upon us. And that, of course, was true for many of us. You can see the hawk there floating on the breeze. Oh, that's an osprey. Floating over the canal we'll be seeing momentarily. Yes, that's the way they hunt. They hang above the canal. Okay, here he comes. There he is. I'm going to take another look. Looks like we have a couple of ospreys in the neighborhood today. So that's what he does. He'll flutter above. She could flutter above, waiting for fish to swoop in on and pull up in its talons. Food chain. And you might not be able to see them so well, but I keep walking through clouds of dragonflies. And as I walk through them, I feel like I'm at a dance. Just jumping into the dance floor and doing my own dance. I don't hear the music. Well, I hear the music in my own heart and in my own mind. But they don't float away or flitter away when I walk into the cloud of dragonflies, and that always makes me smile. As you can see, south of me, which is the direction we're facing, they're preparing the fields for planting. Florida has a vegetable growing season, October through April, May potentially, for some of the vegetables. The summers, of course, are way too hot, but that's okay. So this is the southern canal for the refuge. Private land south of us. Now we're facing due west to the Everglades. And this palm tree can give me a lesson whenever I need to be reminded. It is embraced by what we know is a strangler fig. And there you can see them intertwined very clearly. It's a strangler fig. They take advantage of another tree, which to hang, suck nutrients from, but at least this palm tree is managing. But that's also a nice mindfulness reminder that what in my life has glommed on to me, sucking my energy and taking my time and attention away from what gives me joy and what gives me hope. And of course, that is a question that will take many, many visits and many moments to consider. But that is a gentle reminder for me that I have to remember to consider in each moment what is feeding me and giving me joy and energy, and what is sapping my attention and my joy. And of course, there's one thing that always gives me joy: clouds. I remember moving down to South Florida a long time ago and being fascinated with the skies. We moved down here from Pennsylvania, and I was fascinated by the multitude of cloud varieties, the size and length of the sky. So I could spend a whole nother Sunday stroll just looking at clouds with you. But today we're going to pay attention to what we can find in this wildlife reserve. And of course, at this one water-filled area, I can normally find lots of glossy ibis, herons. Haven't seen the black-necked stilts in a while. I'm presuming that meant they picked up and headed south. As we get closer to autumn, they were going south to find summer again, or spring, as they get closer to the equator. Clearly, this is an area that has been built up from the wet. So we would call these paths dikes or levees, which are above the water. And in these areas are where the water from agricultural areas are filtering through, and with all of these plants. You can see we have some lotus there, and we have a critter talking to us. Of course, one of the other things I enjoy watching along with my clouds is the wind tickling the top of the water and the sun glistening on the top of the water. What else I could spend time just enjoying and appreciating. Right now there's no one out here but me and the birds. As you can see, some of the equipment that helps move the water as it flows through the wetlands, as it's being filtered and being then sent through this canal to the Everglades, which are just up there. Of course, the Everglades are the lifeblood of Florida, especially south of Orlando. Without the Everglades, we humans wouldn't be here. The clouds would be, though. Of course, the settlers to Florida, not the native peoples, when they decided to come down here in the teens and the 20s of the 20th century, thought it was a great idea if they could drain the Everglades drain the Everglades, and then use the fertile Everglades muck, which is left after the water is drained, for settlements, for neighborhoods, for agriculture, without the understanding or realization that doing so disrupted the flow of water from the middle of Florida all the way down to the Florida Keys and Florida Bay and the Gulf of Mexico. We in South Florida depend on the Everglades as not only the filter for our use of the land and the water, but a source of our water. It's the water from the river of grass, which we call the Everglades. Actually, it's our native Miccosukee and Seminole peoples who still live in the Everglades. So the settlers thought it was a good idea to drain, cut roads across the Everglades to prepare it for agriculture and human settlement. And of course, wrecking the ecosystems. But we're doing our best, forehead slap, after many decades of abuse and destruction, to attempt to repair, such as this wildlife refuge has done. Why I love coming to this particular spot, besides the animals, we have an anhinga, another female anhinga up there, so you can get a closer look at her. Yeah, she's warning me that she's here. Back off. But this is a pond apple, and we can see some of the apples. I'm going to sit down here as carefully as I can because I don't want to end up in the water. There she goes. So the pond apple, as you can see, has rooted itself along this canal. And it is a reminder to me to grow where I am planted. And I am always fascinated by the root structure of this pond apple. As you can see, it is rooted way out in the canal. That's probably 6-8 feet out. And the roots intertwining, coming up from the water, reaching the canal bank to make sure that it's sturdy and it's going to survive, which it has for a long time now. Let me see if I can get us back to the whole picture. There we go. So the pond apple is not we don't want to eat that, but the animals do. And what I like about the pond apples, they're almost heart-shaped. And there are quite a few on that branch of the tree that have not been taken by any critter at this point to enjoy. We'll take a moment again to appreciate the root structure. Listen to the breeze. And watch the wind tickle the surface of the water. Of course, I don't mean to be glib about growing where you're planted or persevering through difficulties. But this tree does give me pause. And I thank the Creator for allowing me to consider that in the very busy day, very busy week. Sawgrass flowing in the breeze as well. We're coming up to the levee of the Everglades. So I want to thank you for taking this Sunday stroll with me. I appreciate how we as human beings can recognize a collective error in judgment by people who came long before us, and having the collective will to make the decision to correct the injury to the planet and to the Everglades, and to enjoy these clouds with me. I appreciate your time. Thanks so very much.